Okay, spawning in the bottom right, we have Big Pimpintosh. And his opponent up top, Epicosity. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Google it. It might still be around. But I agree, man. We definitely need some more Tooth and Tail merch. Like, little commander plushies, that would be sick. I would have a little hopper plushie. That'd be pretty cool. Alright, so Epicosity running a pretty mid-rangey deck here. He's got the Snakes and the Falcons to kind of deal with that later game. The Snakes also nice against a lot of Tier 2. Meanwhile, Tosh going for double Tier 3 with the Balloon. And this map is looking pretty darn good for Tosh over here. He's got 4 mills right in his front yard. Epicosity does have an expansion, which is nice, and can maybe start to try to take that as a third. But overall for Epicosity here, both for the map generation and the deck compositions, I'd really like to see Epicosity try to end this in the mid-game here. You know, some kind of 2-base push, I think, is what the doctor ordered. 8-farm mill from Epicosity. Meanwhile, Tosh is going for that 8-farm Warren. Now, these 8-farm mills used to be very dangerous, and in theory, they still kind of can be if your opponent has moles. I think Airlu was one of the first people I remember who really started to punish people that would go for things like a Tier 2 first or a mill first with the moles. But now, since the moles have been nerfed a little bit, they're kind of out of style. So you can get away with some of these greedier openings. Tosh actually sells off the mill, but goes to take a different one. I wonder if he's going to sell that off once Epicosity leaves. No, just going to grab that balloon. And the balloon tells me that Tosh just wants to macro up. Be very, very greedy with the amount of farms he's taking. But the balloon, you know, if Epicosity just rails out squirrels, the balloon won't be super, super effective. Now Epicosity sees the balloon. And is going to go ahead and go home. And I'm curious what the response to it's going to be. Are you just going to macro up? I think that's the knee-jerk reaction. And I think a lot of times it is correct. And yeah, Epicosity says, okay, you want to build a balloon to leverage going into a macro game? I'll just go ahead and build a bunch of farms. Now, what Tosh could do that would be super clever is sell the balloon, throw down a bunch of Tier 1, and try to swing in. But no, that kind of play is risky. Look at this. Epicosity already considering that by throwing down some turrets. That is really smart play. Dang, that is good. So we're going up to full 2-base saturation on both sides. And so far, Epicosity is just building up some Tier 1. After Tosh Scout's going to go ahead and get into these Skunks. And I really like this balloon from Tosh because this balloon protects all 3 bases. You know, that is some value for sure. And Tosh wants this to go to the late game. You know, the longer that Epicosity doesn't attack, the better for Tosh. You know, you can start producing those owls, get out a wolf, that sort of thing. Epicosity, though, going to go ahead and grab this side mill, most likely to try to leverage some territory so you can get that extra healing, but probably more importantly, throw down some proxy turrets here to apply some pressure. Man, Tosh is going crazy with the balloons. Going to sell off that back one. Put 2 more up on the front line. Oh, I've got to fix. So my mute microphone button apparently is the same button that shows like game statistics like FPS and stuff up in the top. So I do need to fix that. It only took me 3 years of streaming to start experimenting with hotkeys on OBS. Actually throws down some back turrets, kind of interesting. Maybe to dissuade any kind of chameleon or lizard harass on those farms. I kind of would have liked to see some turrets over here on the side. I don't know that range exactly. If you built turrets right there, if they'd shoot the pigs. Maybe when the pigs like walk over, like where that one is. But the Wolf Warren is on the way for Tosh, and Tosh is already on 3-base full saturation as well. Everything seems to be going to plan so far for our Archimedes player. And we kind of just gotta let this one evolve a little bit more. I might hit that fast forward button just a little. I know what we really want to see is the big action here, and so far so good for Tosh. Now the question is, does Epicosity know about the third base saturation? Epicosity does. So he's really got to make a move sometime soon. He's either got to saturate up his own third base, or he's got to come in and apply some pressure. He's got a hell of an army. But the longer he waits, the closer he will be to the Wolves and the Owls spawning here for Tosh. Trying to micro with these snakes to get some tags on those balloons, but easier said than done. And man, when you have 3 balloons like this, they just delete the snakes. Like, look at that. Bam, bam. And this is looking pretty brutal. This reminds me of about the meta of about like a year and a half ago. You know, building up all these balloons into tier 3. And so far, Tosh is just crushing it. I don't think Epicosity was expecting this style of play out of Tosh. You know, from my matches with Epicosity, he seems to be kind of a late game player himself. So I'm curious if he figured that Tosh would do something more aggressive here. But this balloon wall, I mean, and especially with this map spawn for Tosh, like the map and the army, the deck composition are all matching up very nicely for him. Now keep in mind that Tosh does have a lot of money invested in those balloons, so if Epicosity can find an angle where he's not fighting underneath the balloon fire, he might be able to have a DPS advantage. But that is definitely easier said than done, especially if you like try to swing around and come over to the third base or something like that. Then the problem with that approach is that your re-rallying units will all just get obliterated by the balloon wall here. Epicosity desperately trying to get a third base up and running, but the master plan from Tosh is almost finished here. He's got the Owl number 3 on the way here shortly. Got the Wolf, got basically everything he needs. And I just feel like Epicosity waited around too long this game, maybe. Like, balloons are one of these things that just scale so well. Like, if you feel like your opponent is going for an approach with a lot of balloons, I think the best tactic to deal with that is probably to just try to shut it down before it gets going. Can be easier said than done for sure. Units like lizards can really help with that sort of thing. Epicosity just trying to deal with these mice as best he can. Trying to rally over here to the side where he's not just completely under the balloon coverage, but I think this is just too much damage. And Epicosity will be forced to tap here shortly once the remainder of the tier 2 goes down. There it is. And Tosh striking first blood in this best of 5 series. Yeah, I gotta mess with my hotkeys a little bit. Okay. Let's keep it going in game number 2. Alright, spawning on the right side, we've got Epicosity. His opponent to the left, Big Pimpintosh. Triple tier 3 from Tosh this time around, dropping the pigeons for the fox. Meanwhile, Epicosity grabbing the pigeons instead of the turrets. But overall, it looks like Tosh wants to go for a similar game plan. Again, he's got a nice map here to do so. Easy 3 bases, a reasonable 4th. And this time around, Epicosity does have a nice 3 bases of his own. And maybe this base right here will just not get taken from either side. I think that base is in one of these situations where if one of the players does manage to take that and start successfully farming on it, the game is probably over anyways. There's only one main attack path on this map, which is around this gristmill. I think we might see this gristmill be taken for some tanking, or maybe for Tosh to get some balloons even further out. But there is a sneaky little path through the swamp over here, where players can get into a flank position of the enemy's base. But so far, nothing crazy. And if I'm Epicosity here, I'm probably thinking, you know, I got to get in there and I got to hit a timing. You know, maybe second base, half saturation, something like that. And really prevent the Tosh engine from getting up and running. But again, you know, Tosh can go for a very similar strategy on this map, already throwing down a balloon. But this is a bit deadly. If Epicosity just builds a whole bunch of lizards here, the lizard should be able to overrun the balloon. And yeah, Tosh is going for this mill already. And if Tosh manages to take that mill and really set up that position uncontested, then that might just straight up be checkmate. That is such an important position on this map here. That's the main attack path. And that's shoving Epicosity back so far that Tosh's balloon wall would be able to threaten the main base. Epicosity does need a few more lizards than that, as Tosh is not committed to anything but the tier 1 so far. Actually gets rid of the balloon, is going to reposition it. And Epicosity is just going to macro up for now. Oh, this is rough playing against a strong balloon player on a map like this. Epicosity did sell down on the tier 1 though, so doesn't quite have a big enough force here to really threaten or contest, and Tosh is getting away with it. Tosh is getting very nicely set up here, and once he starts building a few more forward balloons, he can zone Epicosity out of the third base. He can apply direct pressure essentially right to the main of Epicosity with these balloons while defending. And Epicosity just going to go up to that full 2 base saturation here. Even going for the third. And going to transition into tier 2. Epicosity biding his time here before trying to make the big push to break this position. However, Tosh is really committed here on the high ground. Like, if Epicosity can manage to come in here and deny this expansion, you know, bust through, that's probably game, because all of Tosh's assets are up here right next to it, all the Warrens. Even if Tosh was able to sell those off, it would be too much of a tempo hit. I mean, the army of Epicosity would be massive. Epicosity going up to 6 skunks here. Realizing that Tosh is just relying on skunks in tier 1. Wouldn't hate to see a couple pigeons, maybe. But Epicosity's third base is now under attack from Tosh, and Tosh appears to have the bigger army right here, right now. Epicosity fighting back, 1 skunk going down from Tosh, but he's got 3 more. And a skunk is about to fall from Epicosity, and Epicosity's just going to have to pack it up and let this third base get taken from Tosh here. Hoping to make the counterattack now, but Epicosity is still producing units out of the tier 2 Warrens. Does not have the triple skunks yet. Nice poking here. Needs to be careful not to lose any skunks. There is some water over here, which he could use to help accelerate the healing of the skunks. But it is a bit out of position. Getting a lot of pigeons. Oh, meanwhile, the Fox is on the way for Tosh. The Fox, a great unit at dealing with the opponent's tier 2. It can be a little bit difficult to pull off the Fox because there's a lot of hard counters, a lot of soft counters to it. But the games where the stars align and the Fox is usable are quite nice. And I do like the Foxes and Tosh's deck, because in those situations where you don't really want to build the Fox, it's alright, no big deal. He's got the Owl, he's got the Wolf, he's got plenty of other units. But the balloon wall is starting here for our Archimedes player. I can speak. I can do the things. And Epicosity is not going to push in just yet. Again, just committing to more Falcons here, more tier 2. I do like the Falcons. It's a nice touch because there's kind of these 2 choke points in between this double high ground terrain here. So it might be a little bit difficult for all the units to find tiles, and the Falcons, of course, don't really have that problem because they do fly. But that is so many pigeons here from Epicosity, and nearly no tier 1 besides those pigeons. And here come the Kasha shots. The pigeons will help heal these skunks up. But Epicosity does not really have much anti-fox repellent spray in the deck. Does have lizards. Lizards are nice against fox since they can move just as fast. But this fox is just going to start getting so much damage done. You know, balloons in situations like this are so powerful. You know, being able to poke and then just immediately retreat back to those balloons. And the damage is already done here. I mean, Tosh has killed 5 pigs with the fox already. Just poking down units. And Epicosity is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, having a real difficult time trying to deal with this balloon style that Tosh is bringing out in this series. And Epicosity's commander goes down to some of that balloon fire while the fight engages, giving Tosh a very important micro advantage. And Epicosity just taps out, realizing the writing is on the wall. A quick 2-0 lead for Tosh here. But Epicosity's not down and out just yet. This is a best of 5. So maybe Epicosity cracks the code here and brings it back in game number 3. Spawning in the bottom, we've got Epicosity. And his opponent up top, Big Pimpintosh. Alright, this time around, Epicosity is the one with the balloon wolf owl. Meanwhile, Tosh has changed things up pretty drastically. Gonna go lizard cam this time around, with the Falcons as well. So this is cool. I do like the lizard cam style. I think it's a nice answer to greedier decks. You know, come in with like 4 cams pretty early on with a bunch of lizards. You know, and that can typically do pretty well against like big piles of squirrels. You know, maybe even skunks. Tosh gonna start off with a 5-farm double though. And Epicosity needs to go scout this immediately. It might already be too late since he spent so much time scouting the map. Big Pimpintosh looking for a quick 3-0. 2 of the lizards are already about to spawn. That's all you need to start picking off pigs. Yeah, and these warrens are just so late. The map is small enough. Tosh is already here with 2 lizards. That is a dead pig. I'd like to see Tosh just pull back, wait for some more, and keep the pressure on. Here we go. 3 lizards this time. Coming in for some more bacon. Oh man, that is so rough. The pressure is on here for Epicosity. Already down 2 games this series, and Tosh with a phenomenal start. Already with a big lead in this game. But maybe Tosh overextends here, and Epicosity takes some favorable trades. Now, these squirrels gonna get targeted down pretty quickly. Gonna be able to save that last pig, though. And Epicosity is down, but he's not out. A nice thing going for Epicosity here is the spawn. He can definitely protect these 2 bases with just a balloon or 2. And kind of do that similar style what Tosh did in the previous matches. You know, get up the balloons. Macro up real hard. Try to get into the owl. Let's see if Tosh can keep the pressure on. Chameleons on the way for Tosh. 2 chameleons are nice, but when you get up to 4 chameleons, it gets very, very deadly. I'm curious if Tosh, what he's going to do with the cams. Is he just going to kind of hang out with them? Is he going to do a push, you know, with the 2 cams, and then maybe follow that up with a 4 cam push later on? Gonna look around for some more damage with these lizards, but I don't think he's going to be able to find anything. I like leaving the lizards back there as the commander goes in, just to kind of see what's up before committing in, not losing any lizards. And Epicosity actually just sticking with squirrels for now, going up to 18 squirrels. Is he going to sell the mill? No, he's going to keep the mill. Cam Lizard can do pretty good in these kinds of situations. Against Mass Squirrel, though. Let's see. Epicosity does scout the expansion here for Tosh with the single farm. Gonna match that with 2 farms of his own. Does scout the tier 2. And Tosh is gonna go ahead and move out with the double cam. Let's see if he actually commits to the attack, though. I don't know if he's got enough supporting lizards for that to really work. I mean, 15 is a lot of squirrels. They can DPS down those chameleons very, very quickly. Yeah, Tosh is just going to stay home for now. Start farming up. Probably go up to double cam, or maybe cam skunk. Yeah, cam skunk makes sense, seeing how many squirrels that Epicosity is still on. Tosh looking for some damage, moving into the side, gonna see if he can poke up, get a Warren or something like that, but no, Epicosity squirrels are in position. Nice little victory there for Epicosity, every little bit counts. But Epicosity is starting to lose the tech war here. Going up to double balloon. Tosh almost full 2-base saturation. Epicosity does see the second tier 2 Warren. Oh, and Epicosity's thinking about moving out, but no, brings his units back. Does have 240 food wrapped up in balloons right now. So probably ideally wants to fight underneath them. Maybe we see a cell on the Squirrel Warren there, yeah, for a tier 3. So here come the owls. Meanwhile, Tosh is building up more and more lizards. Might just see the variety of tier 2 here rather than doubling up. Maybe we'll see some snakes get thrown down. Ooh, Epicosity going for the double tier 3. And with these balloons, it is going to be hard for Tosh to actually get in here and scout. So he's not going to know what's up. He's not going to know that so much food is being invested right now from Epicosity into these higher tier units. And that is one of the ancillary advantages of the balloon. The balloon has a lot of advantages. You know, just the vision that it gives you is enormous. It has some great DPS. You can target fire down the tier 2 with it. But Tosh is just going to go for it, and this is a good time. Epicosity transitioned out of the tier 1, trying to get to double tier 3, trying to get to double tier 2. And Tosh is just breaking through here. Epicosity is not going to be able to defend. Even if this force gets cleaned up, I think it's just too much damage at this point. The second base in shambles here for Epicosity. Only 1 pig remaining. And even manages to get out with that skunk alive. And Epicosity's got to hold on. I think most players, including myself, would probably just tap there. But this is his last life here in this group stage match. You might as well play it out to the very end. Maybe, just maybe, if these couple owls can get up, Epicosity can make some magic happen with those free mice. 1 owl is here. But is 1 owl going to be enough? Tosh moving forward with the chameleon skunk. Going to do a good job of tanking down the mice pretty effectively. The owl goes down, and Epicosity is just going to have to tap. GG. 3-0 here for Tosh.